And we welcome you to Hooker Field for the 10th and final meeting between the HPT HiToms and Martinsville Mustangs. These two teams have belted it out all through the year. HiToms come into this one 5-4 against Martinsville. They are 2-4 at Hooker Field, and the last time they were here was on Tuesday, so not too long ago, and they got a 14-4 win in 7 innings. So they'll be hoping for a similar result tonight. HiToms are in desperate need of wins. They're currently 5th in the West. That's 4 games out of first. So really every game to end this season for the HiToms is a must-win if they want any chance of clinching a playoff spot. And to do that, they must win the West. And for Martinsville, they're also in need of a win. They're bottom in the West, sitting at 5-10, 4.5 games out of first place. So this is a pivotal one for both teams to try and get on the winning track as we approach the end of the Coastal Plain League season. AJ Myers here taking you through this one between the HiToms and Mustangs. Tonight for the Mustangs on the mat will be Caden Plummer, the left-hander. Plummer out of VMI. He had an ERA of around 11 in 15 appearances, went 2-3 in starts. This year in the CPL, he's making his 8th appearance tonight, 6th start. He's 0-2. An ERA sitting around 5, and his last appearance actually came against the HiToms at historic Finch Field. That was on July 14th, where he went an inning and a half, gave up 1 earned run. HiToms were able to win that game at Finch Field, and as I just alluded to, they won the last affair on Tuesday night against these very Mustangs. And for the HiToms, the first 3 batters tonight will be Kane Kepley, Rowan Watt, and Austin Deering, so a similar front 3 that we've seen throughout this season. Plummer eyes down Kepley as he readies his first pitch of the night. First 1-2, Kepley's a swing and a miss right down the zone. The fastball from Plummer. Kepley's behind 0-1, just starting here at Hooker Field in Martinsville, Virginia. Next one from Hooker is low at the knees, but enough for a strike by our home plate umpire. HiToms tonight in the gray pants with red socks and red tops, and then HiToms right down the middle of the chest. Next delivery from Plummer is a little out of the zone, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike to Kane Kepley. Martinsville is rocking the white pants with gold tops and blue sleeves, and Martinsville across the chest. 1-2 from Plummer is hit on by Kane Kepley. It's out to second base, thrown over to first for the first out. So it goes 6-3 on the putout to Riggy to Needham. Mustangs outfield looks as followed. Christian Easley out in left field, Adam Fallon in center field, and then out in right field, Lucas Carmichael. Infield from left to right is Reese Robinette. Carter DeRiggi at shortstop, Doc Daniels at second, Drew Needham over at first, and behind the plate for Mustangs tonight is Ian Francis. And next up for the HiToms is number 15, Rowan Watt. His first pitch is just on the outside for ball 1. Next one from Plummer goes near the knees for a strike, and it's a 1-1 count with 1 out on Rowan Watt. One from Plummer is bending on the outside, and it's a 2-1 count on Watt. Watt this season batting .318. He's been in the starting lineup near almost every game in the end of July. 2-1 to him, goes low, right at his foot, bounces in the turf, rolls away, and Watt sits in a 3-1 count. Beautiful night here in Martinsville. A little hot, but not too hot as the sun is starting to set a little. A night that started off with a helicopter landing for the ceremonial first pitch. The 3-1 is a swing and a miss by Watt. So he sits in a full count with 1 out and no one on for the HiToms. Full count pitch from Plummer is in the zone for strike 3. Watt looked at it all the way, and he shakes his head in displeasure as he walks back to the dugout. Rowan Watt strikes out looking. Leadoff man Kane Kepley was retired 6-3. So it brings up the all-star Austin Deering. Deering today announced that he's committed to Florida International to play this upcoming spring season as he looks at a first pitch for strike one. He'll be transferring from the State College of Florida to Florida International. And in this coastal playing year, he's proved his worth, batting .371. That leads the HiToms as he places a ball foul right near the first base line. He's also tied for the lead in home runs with 4 and leads the team in RBIs with 24. So he's been here from the start for HPT, and he's delivered nearly every at-bat. He's in an 0-2, 2-out situation here. Pitch from Plummer is sinking low at the knees for ball 1. No one on base for the HiToms. Austin Deering up to bat. Plummer tosses in the 1-2. Swing and a miss by Austin Deering, and the HiToms go 1-2-3 off the arm of Caden Plummer. Top of the first is done. It's scoreless. HiToms get no hits, no runs, no errors. Mustangs bats will be up in the bottom half of the first. You're listening to HiToms Baseball on the HiToms Radio Network. Bottom of the first now here at Hooker Field. It's a scoreless game between the HPT HiToms and Martinsville Mustangs. For the Mustangs, the 1-2-3 in their starting lineup is Carter DeRiggi, Adam Fallon, and Drew Needham. It's a very similar lineup we've seen throughout the season. There really hasn't been too much friction for this Mustang squad. It's been about the same roster the entire year. As it's Joe Areola dealing for the HiToms. His first one goes high for ball 1. Joe Areola was brilliant in his last outing against the Zookeepers. He went 5 innings, 9 strikeouts, and only walked 3 batters. Sophomore out of Wake Forest. That one shoots high again. DeRiggi had to get out of the way, and he's ahead 2-0 in the count, starting the bottom of the first here at Hooker Field. 2-0 from Areola. It's a high again, the same spot as the last one, and it's a 3-0 count on the dangerous Carter DeRiggi. DeRiggi leads the team in batting average at .336. Although against the HiToms on Tuesday, he went 0 for 3. He was walked 1 time. Next one from Areola. This one shoots at the knees for strike 1, so it's a 3-1 count on Carter DeRiggi. DeRiggi out of Butler. Ariola fires in the 3-1. It's a big hack from Carter DeRiggi, and good recovery by Joe Ariola. He's now got DeRiggi in a full count. Ariola raises the glove to his mouth, brings it down to his belt. That's where he'll deliver the 3-2. It goes on the outside, and Carter DeRiggi has a leadoff walk. Brings up Adam Fallon with Carter DeRiggi over at first base. Ariola gave up the leadoff walk. Ariola's first one to Fallon as he looks at first. Looks again at first base. Now he deals to Fallon. And it's on the outside again, near the body of Fallon. It's a 1-0 count on Adam Fallon. DeRiggi this year has 3 stolen bags. So Ariola looks now at DeRiggi at first. He now kicks his leg, deals the pitch. It shoots high for ball 2. HiToms defense starting in the outfield from left to right. It's Jack Spike out in left field, Kane Kepley center, then it's Austin Deering in right field tonight. Ariola looks again at first. Now places the 2-0 just high of the zone, and once again he's got a batter in a 3-0 count. This time it's Adam Fallon. HiToms infield from left to right is Rowan Juan at third tonight, Andrew Fernandez at shortstop, Nate Crispin over at second, Juan Correa at first base, and then behind the dish for the HiToms, just like it was on Tuesday, it's Josh Davis. As the 3-0 from Ariola is right down the middle in the zone, it's a 3-1 count on Fallon. Ariola peeks at first. Now throws over to first, and Juan Correa comfortably catches it as DeRiggi steps on the bag. Next one from Ariola is on the outside, and it is 2 back-to-back walks from Joe Ariola. We saw a lot of walks the last time these two teams played. For the HiToms, I hope that trend doesn't continue. It was mainly the Mustangs pitchers that were walking HiToms batters. But Joel Ariola had a leadoff walk and then walks a second batter in Adam Fallon, and it brings up Drew Needham with no outs, 2 on for the Mustangs. Ariola now is looking at second base. He deals the pitch. It's in the zone for a strike. Next 3 for Martinsville will be John Boy Rittenhouse, Lucas Carmichael, and Doc Daniels. 0-1 from Ariola is at the lettering for ball 1. It was not near enough to the zone for a home plate umpire. Ariola again looks over at second, now kicks, steals the 1-1. It's hit up foul over the grandstands and way out of play. Ariola takes a brief step off the rubber now. Is back on. He's got Drew Needham in a 1-2 count. Needham this year batting 196 out of Western Carolina. Ariola deals to him. It's a hack that goes just off his bat, right near the Hooker Field lettering behind home plate. Do the 1-2 again from Ariola. This one is hit into fair territory, right to the glove of Juan Correa for the first out. Needham hit that down the line in the air, and Correa was aware enough to glove it for out number 1. And Ariola was also able to get Adam Fallon out as he was off the bag, so good play by him, and there's 2 outs. Ariola now looking at the DH, John Boy Rittenhouse. He deals to him. It shoots low for ball 1. Rittenhouse leads the team in RBIs with 32 and home runs at 12. He's batting .272 against the HiToms. In their last meeting, he went 0 for 2, but he was walked twice. Ariola deals to him. He swings and misses, and puts him in a 1-1 count with 2 outs. Carter DeRiggi occupies second base. Third and first are empty. Lucas Carmichael waiting on the on-deck circle. Ariola takes his time. Now places the 1-1 on the bat of Rittenhouse. It's up in the air, and it will be caught by Juan Correa at first base. So the HiToms do get a little trouble. Joey Ariola walks the first 2 batters, but he gets help from his defense off of 2 flyouts and good awareness by Juan Correa at first base. And it's a scoreless game as we go into the second inning. You're listening to HiToms Radio on the HiToms Radio Network. Now the second inning here at Hooker Field in Martinsville, Virginia. Scoreless between the HPT HiToms and Martinsville Mustangs. It's the DH, Josh Karen, in the cleanup spot tonight for HPT up to bat against Caden Plummer, who went 1-2-3 on the HiToms batters in the first. He gives a nod to his catcher, Ian Francis, and deals to Karen. He looks at the pitch all the way for strike 1. Karen had a really good outing the last time against the Mustangs, as his next one is low for ball 1, so it's a 1-1 count on Karen. That last outing against the Mustangs, Karen went 4 for 5, had 4 RBIs and a stolen base. Well, the other night against the Zookeepers, he did go 0 for 3. That was in a 14-4 HiToms loss, as he fouls off the next delivery from Plummer into the grandstands area down the right field line. Still a lot of construction here at Hooker Field. The 2 grandstand areas down the 2 lines are not covered at all. They're in almost cage-like areas with fencing, and then there is a covered area right behind home plate, as the 1-2 to Karen is low on the turf for ball 2, and he's in a 2-2 count with no outs, no one on base for the HiToms, just beginning the top of the second inning. Plummer from the belt, the 2-2 is fouled straight back by Karen. As I alluded to at the top, this is the HiToms' last meeting here at Hooker Field and against the Mustangs. It seems like each game has its own unique storyline, starting all the way back at the first meeting. 2-2 to Karen is hit down the third base line. It gets past Robinette at second base and into left field as Christian Easley will collect it, although Josh Karen has a base hit. So first batter aboard for the HiToms tonight is now it's Josh Davis and for the Tommies. Josh still getting up to speed after recovering from Tommy John surgery. His first pitch is low for a ball. Tonight will be Davis's 6th game in a HiToms uniform. Still quite can't play back-to-back, so he didn't play against Ashboro, so his last appearance was here against Hooker Field, and he's in a 1-1 count as the next pitch is at the knees for a strike. Against the Mustangs the other night, he went 2 for 4, had a double, and he struck out once. 1-1 on the way from Plummer is hit on by Josh Davis. It's out into center field. Adam Fowles looking up onto it. He's in direct sunlight, but he is able to make the catch for out number 1. Josh Karen remains at first base. And it brings up the left fielder, Jack Spike. Jack out of Western Carolina, batting .269 on the year in the CPL. Plummer's first one to Spike. Check swing from him is strike 1. He goes behind 0-1 with his teammate Josh Karen over at first base. Plummer deals the next one to Spike. This one goes low for a ball. Spike did have 2 RBIs on Wednesday night against the Zookeepers, and he had an RBI against the Mustangs. So he's been a hot bat as of late. 1-1 from Plummer. Check swing again. It goes low in the turf. Gets away from Francis, and Josh Karen slides into second, comfortably safe. No throw from Francis to Daniels at second. So a stolen bag for Josh Karen. Be his 3rd steal of the year. Spike's ahead 2-1 in the count. Francis nods to his catcher, and now that one's fouled off by Spike. Plummer ready to go for the 2-2. He looks again at second. Now deals to Spike. Swing and a miss by him. And he is retired on strike. So there's 2 outs in this top of the second for the bottom of the HiToms order when Juan Correa starting off. Then it'll be Andrew Fernandez and Nate Chrisman to round out the Tommies batting order. Plummer's first one to Correa is fouled straight back into the netting. Correa went 0 for 4 against the Mustangs in their last meeting. He had 3 strikeouts that night, but he did hit a long home run on Wednesday against the Zookeepers. Brought his home run total up to 4. He's batting .244. His next delivery from Plummer is a swing and a miss by Correa, so he's behind 0-2 with 2 outs, and Josh Karen over at second base. Plummer deals from the belt. It's into the turf. Karen remains over at second as Francis did a better job of collecting that one. Count sits at 1-2 on Juan Correa with Andrew Fernandez waiting in the on-deck circle. Here comes the 2-1. It's fouled right up into the air, and it's over the grandstands, out of play. Count remains at 1-2 for Correa. Plummer's next one, to Correa, is into the turf. So it's a 2-2 count with 2 outs in a scoreless game between the HiToms and Mustangs. Correa ready for the 2-2. Plummer first looks at Karen at second. Now fires in the 2-2. It's hit on by Juan Correa. Out past the infield into center field. Adam Fowles running onto it. Josh Caron's around third. He will comfortably score, and it's an RBI single for Juan Correa. And the HiToms go up 1-0 over the Mustangs off the bat of Juan Correa. Brings up Andrew Fernandez now with 2 outs, and Correa over at first base. Plummer's first one to Fernandez is chopped into the turf. DeRiggi's running out to it. He can't get to it, and it's a base hit for Andrew Fernandez, and the HiToms go to work with 2 outs. Fernandez hit that one right into the turf. Took a big bounce towards the shortstop DeRiggi, who stretched all the way out. He couldn't glove it. Trickled into the outfield. Correa was able to advance to second, and it put Andrew Fernandez on second base. And it brings up the bottom man in the HiToms order, Nate Chrisman. Chrisman in a big spot with 2 outs. He's got Juan Correa at second base, Andrew Fernandez at first. Plummer eyes down Chrisman. Now looks at second. Deals to Chrisman. It goes high for ball 1. One-0 from Plummer. Check swing from Chrisman, and it's just on the outer part of the zone for ball 2. Chrisman had 2-0 in the count, 2 outs, 2 on for the Tommies. Plummer looks at Correa at second. Now deals that one is just sinking low out of the zone. It's a 3-0 count on Nate Chrisman. Crowd here in Martinsville eagerly watching on as their team sits in a big spot. That one goes high, and the bases are loaded for the HiToms. Hayden Plummer had been dealing since he came up against Juan Correa, who got the RBI single that sent Josh Caron home. And an Andrew Fernandez base hit and a Nate Chrisman walk loads the bases for the Tommies. And it flips the card to the top of the order for the HiToms and Kane Kepley, who grounded out his first appearance. That was only back in the first inning. Plummer's bases loaded offerings, a swing and a miss by Kepley. Just hit off the top portion of his bat foul, but either way, it was going to be a strike for Kepley. Kepley calls time momentarily. Allows Plummer some time to prepare his next bases-loaded delivery. Here comes the 0-1. It's just on the other side of the zone. 1-1 count for the leadoff man, Kane Kepley. Kepley this year has been a force in the leadoff spot. He's got 21 RBIs. He leads the team in walks with 26. He's in a 1-1 count, 2 outs. Plummer kicks, deals to Kepley. It's hit on by Kane Kepley out towards left field. Christian easily is able to glove it. He uses his speed to get all the way over towards the foul line to glove the third out in this top of the second. Although the HiToms are able to get a run across. They get 2 hits, 1 run, no errors from the Mustangs. You're listening to HiToms Baseball on the HiToms Radio Network. This one is just low of the zone as Ian Francis throws his bat towards the Mustangs dugout, and he walks over to first base. And there's 2 on for Martinsville. Just 1 out in the bottom of the second. They trail the HiToms 1-0. It's the 3rd walk tonight that Ariel has given up. It's the amount he gave up against the Zookeepers. It's Reese Robinette for Martinsville. Robinette stands at 6'3". Ariola deals to him. It shoots low for ball 1. Robinette taps the home plate bag with his bat. Now he's ready to go for the 1-0. 2 on for Martinsville. 1-0's incoming. It's beamed out towards center field. Kane Capley's looking onto it. He gloves it as Doc Daniels is running over to third. He will be able to scamper over to third base, but there is 2 outs for Christian Easley coming up to bat for Martinsville, as Reese Robinette flew out to center field. Christian Easley did not play on Tuesday against the HiToms, but he is a threat on the base paths. He's got 17 stolen bases this year. He's got men on the corners with 2 outs. Aerial kicks, deals too easily. It's a swing and a miss by him. Ian Francis is over at first base, while Doc Daniels occupies the third base bag. Mustangs trail 1-0 over the HiToms. Oh, 1 to Easley is on the outside for ball 1. Or rather, our home plate umpire says that was strike 2. Ariola prepares the 0-2. He looks at first. Now back at the batter. He deals the 2-0. It's just on the lower portion of the zone, and it's a 1-2 count. One and two on Easley. Ariola fires it in. It goes high. And it's a 2-2 count with 2 outs. Doc Daniels over at first. Or rather, Doc Daniels over at 30 and Francis at first. 2-2, 2 outs for Easley. Ariola kicks, deals too easily. He hits one out towards left field. Jack Spike is going to let it bounce in front of him. The Mustangs score as Doc Daniels cruises in, and it's an RBI single for Christian Easley. Easley's 15th RBI of the year. And it's the top of the Mustangs order with 2 on. Reese Robinette. Rather, Ian Francis at second. And Christian Easley over at first off of his RBI single. In a 1-1 game, as it looks as though Ian Francis has to walk away from the second base bag as he's talking to the Mustangs trainer as he walks all the way back to his dugout. So I don't know if that will end the night for Easley, but he is clearly in some kind of discomfort. So it means there'll be a pitch runner for the Mustangs. Carter DeRiggi at second base now, as Ian Francis looked fine at second base when he was running over, but obviously something went wrong, and he steps into the Mustangs dugout, puts Carter DeRiggi at second. Ariola deals to DeRiggi. It goes in the turf for a ball. .1-0 is hit foul by DeRiggi right near the grandstand area. It's a 1-1 now on DeRiggi, who was walked back in the first inning. Arriola deals to him. He cracks the bat over to shortstop. It gets out in the outfield. Carter DeRiggi's running around second. Christian Easley's going to slide into first. He slides in time, and the Mustangs take the lead off the bat of Carter DeRiggi, who placed one near Andrew Fernandez at shortstop. He stretched out, couldn't reach it, took a bounce off the turf, and trickled in to the outfield as Fernandez did glove it. He threw over to first, but Christian Easley with his speed was always going to be safe, and there's still men in the corners with 2 outs. So just like the HiToms, the Mustangs doing their damage with 2 away. So back-to-back RBI singles makes it a 2-1 game. Puts Christian Easley at third, Carter DeRiggi at first, with Adam Fallon up to bat. His first one is looped right towards first base and collected by Juan Correa for the third out. Well, it's a third out that doesn't come without 2 Mustangs runs off of 3 hits. No errors from the Tommies. The Mustangs do lead 2-1 as we go to the third inning here at Hooker Field. You're listening to HiToms Baseball on the HiToms Radio Network. Rowan Watt will start off the third inning here in Martinsville, Virginia at Hooker Field between the HPT HiToms and Martinsville's Mustangs, as Plummer's first one to Watt is in for strike one. Watt looked at it all the way. Rowan struck out looking back in the first inning. Next one from Plummer is again in the zone as Watt did not even swing at it, and he's behind 0-2 in the count. 0-2 from Plummer is again in the strike, and Rowan Watt, with some clear frustration, strikes out, not swinging at a single pitch, and there's one away for the HiToms. Means it's Austin Deering now with 1 out, no one on base. HiToms trail 1-2 against the Martinsville Mustangs, the 10th and final meeting between the two sides, as the first one for Deering is high for ball 1. HiToms lead the season series 5-4. However, they're 2-4 at Hooker Field, as Plummer has now put one high in the zone and low, and it means Austin Deering is ahead 2-0 in the count. Deering, who did just commit to Florida International to play his spring ball. Next one from Plummer is in the zone. No swing from Deering, as the fastball from Caden Plummer is really working. It's not getting any HiToms batters to swing. Plummer's next one is fouled right down the left field line by Deering, and it trickles all the way into the HiToms dugout. Puts the All-Star Deering in a 2-2 count. The 2-2 is on the corner for ball 3, and it's a full count now for Austin Deering, who struck out in the first inning. Plummer kicks, deals a 3-2. It's on the outside, and Austin Deering is aboard with a walk. It's the second walk that Plummer has given up tonight. And brings up the DH man, Josh Karen, who got a base hit in the second inning. Deering is over at first. Plummer deals to Karen. It is at the knees on the outside of the zone for ball 1. Plummer takes a quick step off the mound. He's now back on, and he's ready to go for the 1-0. He deals that 1-0. Hit on by Josh Karen out to right field. Looking onto it is Luke Carmichael. He is unable to glove it as it hits the wall. It's on the ground. Carmichael finally collects it, throws it over to first base, but it is a double for Josh Karen. And it means there are 2 in scoring position for the HiToms. Austin Deering gets all the way over to third as a long double from Josh Karen that looked as though it could have been gone, but it just sank into the wall as it cracked right off of it. Carmichael was able to collect it. He threw over to Drew Needham at first, but the damage was already done. And it brings up the catcher, Josh Davis. His first one is in the zone for strike 1. Davis flew out to center field back in the second inning. He's got Austin Deering at third and Josh Karen over at second. Plummer gets set. Now deals the 0-1. It's just over on the outside for ball 1. So one's across the scoreboard for Josh Davis as the HiToms trail 2-1 against the Mustangs. Plummer's 1-1 is hit on by Davis, but into foul territory down the right field line, out of play. Davis takes a brief step out of the batter's box. He's now back in, toggles his bat. He's ready to go for the 1-2, so too is Plummer. Here's the delivery. It hits the turf, and it bounces right in front of home plate as Ian Francis collects it and throws back to Plummer. Plummer, his last time out against the HiToms, gave up 1 earned run in an inning and a half. He's in a tricky spot here with 2 in scoring position. The delivery to Davis is a swing and a miss by Josh Davis, and he is retired on strikes. Brings up the left fielder, Jack Spike, as we are now into the bottom of the HiToms order in the top of the third, with Josh Karen at second base and Austin Deering over at third. Deering got aboard via a walk, and then Josh Karen hit a double. There's 2 outs for the HiToms. They trail 2-1. Delivery from Plummer is hit on by Jack Spike out to center field. It bounces in front of Fallon. 1 run is scored. Josh Karen is coming in as this throw to first is not in time, and 2 runs are able to score. It was a good throw by Adam Fallon over to home plate. Ian Francis grabbed it, but the slide came in from Karen, and the HiToms regained the lead 3-2. It'll be an RBI double by Jack Spike. It's now Juan Correa who got an RBI single back in the second to give the HiToms the lead. Plummer deals to Correa. It's in for strike 1. Next one to Correa. It's a swing and a miss by him. And he's behind in the count 0-2. Correa is now up to 16 RBIs on the year. He fouls one back into Martinsville's dugout. Plummer looks over at second, deals the 0-2. It sinks into the turf for a ball. It's a 1-2 count with 2 outs for Juan Correa. Correa's got Jack Spike over on second. It was his RBI double that gave the Tommies the lead. Doc Daniels checked in at second as Correa lines one past third base out into left field. Jack Spike's being waved home. He will score comfortably, and it's back-to-back RBI singles by Juan Correa to put the HiToms up 4-2. It's now Andrew Fernandez up to bat as the HiToms once again do damage with 2 outs. They lead 4-2. First it was a Jack Spike RBI double and then a Juan Correa RBI single. That retook the lead for the HiToms. They trailed 2-1 going into this inning as the first one to Fernandez is in for a strike. They're now able to go back up 2 runs. 0-1 for Fernandez is in for strike 2. Juan Correa has his hands on his knees over at first, and as Fernandez puts it into play, Doc Daniels can't get to it as it's a base hit for Andrew Fernandez, and the HiToms keep rolling through the order. They're up to Nate Christman at the bottom of it. 3 hits in a row, put 2 on base for a 4-2 HiToms advantage. Now it's third baseman Nate Christman up to bat with Juan Correa over at second and Andrew Fernandez at first. As Ian Francis has a brief chat with his pitcher, Caden Plummer. Meeting is concluded as Nate Christman steps in the batter's box, ready to go. Plummer deals to Christman. It's into the turf. Both runners remain at their respective bases. Christman, who attends ECU, batting just at 38, as he's only played this is 7th game of the year. Has been walked 3 times. Doesn't have an RBA yet, as he swings and misses on the next one from Plummer. And the count sits at 1-1 with 2 outs. Juan Correa is at second base. Andrew Fernandez is over at first. And the lefty Plummer is up against the righty Christman. Plummer from the belt, the 1-1, sinks low for ball 2. Christman goes ahead on the count. Plummer tosses in the 1-2. Hit on by Nate Christman past third base. Christian Easley's running onto it. Jack Spike, or rather Juan Correa, will be held up at third base, and the bases are loaded for the Tommies with Kane Kepley coming up to bat. So it's Kane Kepley now up to bat. It's been a dominant third inning for the HiToms. They now have 4 straight hits. As out comes the Martinsville skipper to talk to his pitcher, Caden Plummer, who has struggled mightily in this third inning. The third inning that started with a Rowan Watt strikeout looking. Then he walked Austin Deering. Josh Caron got a double, struck out Josh Davis. And then an RBI double by Jack Spike opened up the scoring, and Juan Correa tacked on another RBI. Andrew Fernandez got a base hit, so too did Nate Christman. That's what sets the bases full in this top of the third with the leadoff man, Kane Kepley, up to bat. Kepley back in the first, grounded out 6-3, and then flew out to left field in the second inning. Home plate umpire excludes the meeting on the mound. And everyone retreats back to their positions for Martinsville. Lefty Kane Kepley gets ready to go. As Caden Plummer's in a bit of a jam. He does have 2 outs, though. Deals to Kepley. It is in for strike 1. And Kepley goes behind 0-1 with 2 outs. He's got Juan Correa at third, Andrew Fernandez at second, and Nate Crispin over at first. Delivery from Plummer is way high. It shoots over the head. Juan Correa thought about running, but fortunately for Martinsville, it takes a bounce off the backstop, and everyone stays at their base. That one completely got away as he completely airmailed Kane Kepley and Ian Francis. Plummer looks to recollect himself for the 1-1. He's got 2 outs. Pitches in for Kepley. It's low at the feet for ball 2. 2-1 from Plummer. Hit up in the air by Kane Kepley in foul territory. Reese Robinette's looking onto it, and he's able to make the grab in foul territory down the left field line right towards the fence. So the HiToms do break the lead out to 4-2, although they leave the bases loaded. Mustangs bats have some work to do in the bottom of the third. You're listening to HiToms Baseball on the HiToms Radio Network. Drew Needham will get things going in the bottom of the third for the Mustangs. They trail against the HiToms 4-2. As it's still Joe Ariola on the bump for the Tommies. He deals to Needham. It goes high for ball 1. Needham back in the first inning, flew out to first base, right into the glove of Juan Correa. Ariola's next one to Needham is again high for ball 2. Ariola has been victim of getting a few batters ahead in counts tonight. He's got Needham in a 2-0 count. And the next one is in for strike. It's right down the middle of the zone. Needham looked at it all the way. 2-1 from Ariola. Hits the turf and then bounces in the glove of Davis and then proceeds to bounce out as the ball trickles all the way towards the pitching mound where Joe Ariola scoops it up. So it's a 3-1 count on Drew Needham. Needham this year leads the team in strikeouts with 37. Ariola deals to Needham. He has a high fly ball that's way out of play towards right field. It was hit hard, but just skyrocketed into the air over the right field cage grandstand area, out of play. As Needham puts the bat down towards his knees, readjusts his gloves, steps back in the batter's box. He's ready to go on Joe Ariola. Ariola kicks, deals the 3-2. It is in for a strike. Drew Needham didn't think so as he was ready to throw his bat and walk over to first. He doesn't give any gesture to the home plate umpire, but you can tell he's a little bit frustrated with that call. As walking over to the Mustangs dugout, I'm not sure what he has an issue with. Although, there's now the Martinsville trainer is grabbing something that looks to be a cooler. Perhaps it is a Band-Aid, as Josh Davis maybe has some blood on his fingers. So he's almost in the Mustangs dugout, just on the outside of it where Martinsville's trainer is. It looks as though he is just getting a finger, can't tell which one, looks like maybe his pinky, just taped up. So he's ready to go. He trots back over to his position. HiToms have one out, no one on for Martinsville. And John Boy Rittenhouse up to bat. Mustangs trail 4-2 against the Tommies. Ariola puts the glove to his face now, lowers to the belt, deals to Rittenhouse. He's on the outside for ball one. 1-0 from Ariola. Sinks just into the zone for strike one, and ones are across the board for Rittenhouse, the DH tonight. Next one from Ariola is just high for ball number two, and it's a 2-1 count on Rittenhouse out of Patrick and Henry Community College. Ariola's next delivery is high for ball three. Rittenhouse also flew out to Juan Correa back in the first. Next one from Ariola sinks in the zone again, and it's a full count on Rittenhouse. One out for the HiToms, no one on base for Martinsville. Payoff offering from Ariola. It goes high, and John Boy Rittenhouse is aboard at first base. Brings Lucas Carmichael to the plate, who grounded out in the second inning. Carmichael standing at 6'1" in the batter's box from Western Carolina. Batted .209 there, had 18 RBIs. During the Coastal Plain League, he's got 17. He shows bunt, and it's a bunt that goes foul into the netting right behind home plate. Rittenhouse is over at first base. There's one out for Martinsville, and Lucas Carmichael sits in an 0-1 count. Ariel looks at first. Now deals the 0-1. Hit up in the air, and this one foul into left field near the concession area here in Martinsville. Now an 0-2 count for Lucas Carmichael. Rittenhouse this year has 2 stolen bases. Ariola shows his glove to first. Ariola now, he deals to home plate, and it's in for ball one, and it's a 1-2 count on Carmichael. Gray again ready for a throw by Ariola. Ariola opts to throw to Davis. It's chopped foul, and it's a foul ball that bounces off the turf, and then another bounce over the Martinsville dugout. It's a 1-2 count on Carmichael. Ariola looks at first. Now fires in the 1-2. That one hits Lucas Carmichael in the back, and he takes the slow walk over to first base. So John Boy Rittenhouse started off the inning with a base hit, and then Lucas Carmichael just got hit by Ariola, so there's 2 on for the Tommies, and Doc Daniels up to bat. Fires in the pitch. It's for a strike on Daniels. Arrow looks at second, now deals to Daniels. He swings and misses, nearly drops to one knee. Oh, 2 for Daniels. He hits one out towards right field. Rowan Watts running onto it, but Austin Deering makes the long run into the infield to grab it for the second out. Ball that wasn't hit too hard by Daniels. Deering had to cover a lot of ground running all the way in from deep right field. He runs in only a few steps away from the infield. There's 2 outs for the HiToms. So with 2 outs, it's now Craig Kenny up to bat. Arriola deals to him. It's one that is in the zone for a strike. So Ian Francis, who was on second base and then had to walk back to the Mustangs dugout with an apparent injury. So it means Craig Kenny subs in for him, and he will also take the relief at catcher. It's an 0-1 on him right now. Arriola deals to him. Check swing is low for ball 1. Next one from Arriola is in the zone at the knees for strike 2. Mustangs have 2 aboard. John Boy Rittenhouse at second. Lucas Carmichael at first as Kenny lines one down the left field line, but foul. Waiting in the on-deck circle is Reese Robinette. The focus right now is on Craig Kenny. Arriola looks at second. Now deals the 1-2. It's on the outside of the zone for ball 2. Another look at second by Arriola. Looks back at home plate, now deals the 2-2. It goes low near the ankles for ball 3, and it's a full count on Craig Kenny. Kenny this year batting .171, has 11 RBIs. He's been walked 6 times. Out of northern Colorado. Arriola deals the payoff pitch. It's hit towards third base. Nate Crispin lined out for it. He couldn't grab it. A run will score for Martinsville, and there will be no play at third base as the throw from Jack Spike to Andrew Fernandez wasn't enough. Fernandez had to cover ground from shortstop after Nate Crispin jumped all the way out to try and catch the liner off the bag of Craig Kenny. But it wasn't enough, and it's a 4-3 game with an RBI single for Craig Kenny. Brings up Reese Robinette. Martinsville has 2 outs, but they are threatening with men on the corners. Craig Kenny's at first base. John Boy Rittenhouse was able to score, and it puts Lucas Carmichael over at third. Arriola's first one to Robinette is low for ball, or rather in the zone for strike 1. Arriola looks at first, now deals the 0-1. It is way low for ball 1. 2 outs. Tying run 90 feet away. Reese Robinette up to bat. He flew out to center field his first time up. Arriola tosses in the 1-1. It's fouled straight back by Robinette. Robinette this year batting .274. Only has 8 RBIs. He's in a big spot here for Martinsville in a 1-2 count. Delivery from Arriola. Swing and a miss by Robinette. And that will end this bottom of the third, but it does not end without a Martinsville run coming across. It's a 4-3 game here at Hooker Field. We will go to the fourth inning. You're listening to HiToms Baseball on the HiToms Radio Network. It's a new pitcher for the fourth inning for the Martinsville Mustangs. Number 19, Andrew Fisher, checks in the game for Caden Plummer. We'll go to work on Rowan Watt as the HiToms have a narrow 4-3 lead over Martinsville. Fisher's first one to Watt is in the zone for strike one. Rowan Watt has had a tough outing thus far. He's struck it out looking both times in the first and third inning. He'll be looking for different fortune against Andrew Fisher. Fisher's 0-1 is on the outside for ball one. Next one from Fisher hits the turf, bounces right near home plate. As Craig Kenny is the new catcher for the Mustangs, subbing out Ian Francis with looks to be a injury for him as he was on second base and then had to take the walk into the dugout. Fisher's next one by Watt is hit up in the air out towards center field. Aiden Fowler's looking onto it, and he's going to glove it in right center field, and there's one away for the HiToms. Now it's Austin Deering for the Tommies. He was walked back in the third. It was the third inning where the HiToms retook the lead 4-2. Mustangs brought one back in the bottom half of the inning. We're in the top of the fourth now. Fisher deals to Deering. It's low for ball one. Fisher, a right-handed pitcher. This season's making his 10th appearance, all in relief. He deals to Deering. Check swing from him. Goes in for strike one. His last appearance was against the HiToms on July 24th. He went 2 innings that night, gave up 2 earned runs, and walked one batter. 1-1 is a swing and a miss by Austin Deering. He falls behind 1-2. Lefty on righty matchup. Fisher deals to Deering. It sinks low for ball two. 1-2 from Fisher is in the turf for ball two. Be a payoff delivery from Andrew Fisher. It is low once more, and Austin Deering is walked for the second time tonight. It's the designated hitter Josh Karen now for the Tommies. Karen was able to score 0-1 on Karen, and Austin Deering, who just got walked, is at first base. Deering this year has 4 stolen bases. He has a light lead right now at first. Drew Needham keeping a watchful eye on him. Fisher eyes down Karen. Deals to him. It is on the outside for ball number 1, and there's ones across the board for Josh Karen. One from Fisher. Goes low on the corner for ball 2. Karen at Nebraska this year batted .256. In the CPL, he's got his average up to .205. His next one is chopped into fair territory, gloved by Reese Robinette. He tosses over to second to get one out. The throw over to first is not in time. So there is 2 outs off of good fielding from the Mustangs. It started by Robinette, who let the ball take 1 hop into his glove. He dished it over to second base. The throw to second to first wasn't in time. So it is a base hit for Josh Karen, but Austin Deering is retired at second base. So with 2 outs, it's Josh Davis now up for the HiToms. Davis struck out his last plate appearance. He looks at a first pitch all the way for ball 1. Jack Spike waiting in the on-deck circle with 2 outs. Karen's over at first. Davis sits in a 1-0 count. New pitcher, Andrew Fernandez, in his first inning of work. He deals to Davis on the outside once more. It's a 2-0 count on Josh Davis. Two O's on the way. Davis again looks at it for ball 3, and he's ahead 3-0 in the count. Grandstand lights now illuminating Hooker Field. Sun is not completely set. 3-0 is in for strike 1. Davis didn't swing at it. Next one is hit on by Davis, but going back in foul territory over the Martinsville dugout and deep out of play. Davis took a step out of the batter's box. He's now back in, ready to go. Fisher gets ready for the payoff offering. It shoots low for ball 4, and there's 2 on for the Tommies. Josh Karen can scamper over to second as Davis walks to first. HiToms tonight have been productive with 2 outs. Jack Spike in the 3rd inning got an RBI double. That helped the HiToms retake the lead. Fisher deals to Spike. He checks swings, and it's for ball 1. Next one from Fisher. Another check swing from Spike. This one for a strike, and he's in a 1-1 count. Josh Karen's at second base. Josh Davis is over at first. 2 catchers on the base pads for the HiToms. Fisher deals to Spike. Another catcher. It gets away from the catcher, Craig Kenny, and both runners are able to advance. So a lot happening with the catchers as the delivery from Fisher took a bounce in the turf. Craig Kenny was in relief tonight for Ian Francis, who went out with an injury. Couldn't glove it. And it slides Josh Karen over to third and Josh Davis at second. Jack Spike is in the batter's box in a 2-1 count with 2 outs. Fisher looks at him, now deals. It's hit on by Jack Spike, but it's just going to loop foul and out of play. It was a ball that nearly had the distance for a home run. It just looped the wrong side of the fair line. Spike's now in a 2-2 count with 2 outs. He's got 2 runners in scoring position. Caron's at third. Davis at second. Spike bends at his knees. Fisher fires away. Swing and a miss by Jack Spike, and that will conclude the top of the 4th inning. HiToms leave 2 in scoring position. Mustangs bats will go back to work. They trail by 1 run. It's 4-3 in favor of the HiToms. You're listening to the HiToms Baseball on the HiToms Radio Network. Joe Arriola goes into his 4th inning of work in the bottom of the 4th here in Martinsville, Virginia. HiToms narrowly beating the Mustangs 4-3. Arriola thus far through 3 innings, given up 3 earned runs off of 4 hits, does have 2 strikeouts. He faces the bottom man in the Mustangs order in Christian Easley. Arriola deals too easily. It's a swing and a miss by him, and he's behind 0-1. There's some HiToms substitutions in defense. Jake Coonan checks in for Rowan Watt over at second base. Next one from Arriola. Nearly clips easily, and it's a 1-1 count. 1-1 on Christian Easley, who got an RBI single in his last inning up. He fouls one into the turf, out of play, as Nate Crispin came scampering over from third base to try and collect it, but he opts to let it trickle into the HiToms bullpen. Arriola nods to Davis. Tosses in the 1-2. And this one is chopped again into the air, and it bounces in foul territory. So consecutive swings from Easley bounce on the turf, out of play. Rest of the HiToms defense remains the same, just the Rowan Watt, Jake Coonan swap. Arriola fires in the 1-2. It's hit on by Christian Easley out towards center field. Kane Kepley's running onto it. He is able to converge and make the grab in left center field. Kepley had to cover quite a bit of ground, but he makes the grab right before the dirt near the wall in the outfield, and there's 1 out in the bottom of the 4th. Now the top of the Mustangs batting order with Carter DeRiggi. DeRiggi tonight has been walked on 2 occasions. That's both of his at-bats. Arriola deals to DeRiggi. It is at the knees for ball 1. Arriola in total has walked 4 batters. Next one by Arriola to DeRiggi is high at the waist, but on the outside of the zone for ball 2. Arriola takes his time between pitches, as he so often does. Now deals the 2-0. It's at the waist again for ball 3. So hitter's count for Carter DeRiggi. Arriola from the belt is in for strike 1. He needed to see that one, as it's a 3-1 count on the dangerous Carter DeRiggi with 1 out, no one on base for the Mustangs. They trail the HiToms 4-3 here at Hooker Field. 3-1 from Arriola, nearly clips DeRiggi, and it looks as though it did. Not sure where it clipped him, as it was a fastball that came in hot, and Carter DeRiggi walks over to first base. So it's now Adam Fallon up to bat with Carter DeRiggi up, as Arriola throws one to Juan Correa. It gets away from him, and it means that Carter DeRiggi can walk over to second base, and I actually believe that ball hit him, so there's no play as Carter DeRiggi just cruises over to second. So Arriola now looks at DeRiggi at second. Checking in is Andrew Fernandez. He now walks back to his position at shortstop as Adam Fallon lines one way in the air in right field, and that ball hits the wall. Rather, it goes out of play. It's a home run for Adam Fallon. It hit off the shedding area that is in right field. It is a 2-run shot from Adam Fallon, and it makes it a 5-4 Mustangs advantage. It's Adam Fallon's second homer of the year, and it comes at a big time as it puts the Mustangs in front of the HiToms 5-4. Now brings up Drew Needham for Martinsville with 1 out, no one on base after that Adam Fallon 2-run shot. It's now 5-4 Mustangs. Arriola kicks, steals to Needham. He puts one into center field, left center field. Spike's looking onto it, and that ball is crushed. Way gone, and it's another home run. Back-to-back moonshots from the Mustangs make it a 6-4 game. Drew Needham this time joining the home run club. It's Needham's 5th home run of the year. It's a solo bomb out to left center field. Jack Spike looked up onto it, but he had no chance in grabbing it. And things have not gone Joe Arriola's way in this bottom of the 4th. He's given up 2 home runs. It's 6-4 Mustangs, and it's the cleanup man, John Boy Rittenhouse, up to bat. For Rittenhouse, there's nothing to clean up after there was 2 home runs by the Mustangs. It's an inning that started off with a Carter DeRiggi walk. Adam Fallon hit a home run out to right field, and then Drew Needham hit one out to left. Arriola's in a 1-1 count on Rittenhouse. He kicks and deals to him. That one is high for ball 2. Next one from Arriola is on the outside of the zone for ball 3. It's a 3-1 count, 1 out. Next one from Arriola is high on the corner, and Rittenhouse can walk over to first base. So it's an inning began with a Christian Easley flyout, which feels like a long time ago, just here in the bottom of the fourth. Carter was then walked. Adam Fallon hit a 2-run shot, and then Drew Needham hit a home run of himself to make it a 6-4 advantage for Martinsville. HiToms pitching coach Eric Owens just walked out to the pitching mound to meet with his pitcher Joe Ariola. Josh Davis also chipping in on the conversation, as it's a fourth inning that has not gone to plan for the HiToms. They've led twice in this game, but have surrendered it on 2 occasions as well. Meeting is over as Eric Owens takes a slow walk back to the HiToms dugout. Lucas Carmichael is up to bat. 1 out, no one on base, or rather, John Boy Rittenhouse is at first base.
Now batting for the Mustangs, right fielder number 32, Lucas Carmichael.
Ariel's first one to Carmichael is out of the zone. Davis does a good job at diving over to collect it. Next one from Ariola sinks low for ball 2, and it's a 2-0 count on Lucas Carmichael. Here comes the 2-0 from Ariola. It's at the knees for ball 3. Hitter's count for Lucas Carmichael, who was hit by a pitch back in the third. 3-0 goes high, and there's 2 aboard for Martinsville with just 1 out. And this has been a tough fourth inning, bottom of the fourth inning for the HiToms. Ariola's surrendered 2 home runs to make it a 6-4 game. And now Rittenhouse is over at second via walks. And Carmichael is aboard at first via balls as well. And out comes Sean Stevens to tell Ariola that his night is unfortunately done. So not the outing that I think he was looking for, especially off of the performance he had against the Zookeepers, where he went 5 innings, had 9 strikeouts, walked just 3 batters. It will be Will Sword replacing Ariola, whose last appearance came right here at Hooker Field. It was a dominant outing from Sword. He'll look to do the same as the HiToms trail 6-4 against the Martinsville Mustangs. Step aside for just a moment. You're listening to HiToms Baseball on the HiToms Radio Network. Will Sword comes in relief for Joe Ariola. Sword's last time at Hooker Field was just on the 24th of July. He went 4 1/3 innings. Didn't give up a single earned run, only gave up one hit. It was a dominant outing from Sword, as his first one to Doc Daniels is a big swing and a miss. So Daniels goes behind 0-1 in the count. Sword's in a difficult spot. He's got John Boy Rittenhouse at second, Lucas Carmichael over at first. He kicks, deals to Daniels. He puts a foul ball in the air, out of play. HiToms trails 6-4 over the Mustangs. It's an inning where Martinsville's gotten 2 home runs. Sword looks over at second. Jake Coonan checks in briefly. Now Sword deals. It's hit on by Doc Daniels. It's out towards left field. Jack Spites looking onto it, and he's going to look up and glove it. Runners stay at their respected bases as Andrew Fernandez lines down to Juan Correa. It's a throw that's not coming in time, as Lucas Carmichael kind of lackadaisically just kind of trotted back to first base. And Fernandez said, why not line one to Correa, but Carmichael is comfortably safe. So there's 2 outs in this bottom of the 4th now, and it brings up Craig Kenny. Rittenhouse still at second, Carmichael at first. Sword looks at second. Now deals to Kenny. It's at the knees for strike 1. Two outs for the HiToms. 0-1 count for Craig Kenny. Sword deals the 0-1. It goes low into the turf for ball 1. It's a 1-1 count, 2 outs. John Boy Rittenhouse at second, Lucas Carmichael over at first for the Mustangs. Sword kicks, deals the 1-1. It's chopped into fair territory. Nick Crispin's able to glove it. Actually, rather, that one did take a hop in foul territory before it looped over into a fair spot. So Craig Kenny will do it again. Sword ready to go for the 1-2. 2 on for Martinsville, 2 outs. Delivery from Sword is hit up in the air in foul territory. It's skied in the air. Josh Davis is near the Martinsville dugout. He's able to glove it for the 3rd out. So good awareness by Josh Davis to read that ball. That was a moonshot into the air. He collects it for the 3rd out. It's a 3rd out that does not come without 2 Mustangs home runs. They bring the lead up to 6-4. You're listening to HiToms Baseball on the HiToms Radio Network. The bottom three batters in the HiToms order will go to work to start off the fifth inning. They trail by 2 runs over the Martinsville Mustangs, 6-4 here in Hooker Field, Virginia. A.J. Myers taking you through this one as it's Juan Correa going up against Andrew Fisher, who goes into his second inning of work. He kicks, deals to Correa. It's at the chest for ball 1. Correa has consecutive base hits in this one. 0-1 from Fisher is at the knees for strike 1. Count sits at 0-2 on Correa. Fisher deals. Swing and a miss by Correa. As the count read 0-2, but as though there was, it should have been 1-2. This one a check swing from Correa, and it's in for ball 2. Fisher from the belt deals the 2-2. One that is into the turf, trickling into the Mustangs dugout. Count remains at 2-2. Just took a piece off of Correa's bat. Fisher with the glove at his face, brings it down to his belt. We'll do the 2-2 again. This one check swing. We go to the first base umpire. He deems Correa went around, and there's one out for the HiToms in the top of the 5th. Brings up Andrew Fernandez for HPT. Fernandez tonight has 2 base hits. It's been a strong bottom of the HiToms order. Fisher deals to Fernandez. He punts it right into play over to DeRiggi. He throws over to first. The throw is not in time. Good hustle by Andrew Fernandez as Carter DeRiggi ran over to it. Ball that was just punched out towards shortstop. DeRiggi barehand gloved it, threw it over to the first baseman, Drew Needham, but he was unable to outstretch glove it in time. And it's a base hit for Andrew Fernandez, and he's 3 for 3 tonight. It's now Nate Chrisman coming up to bat for the HiToms. Andrew Fernandez at first. Fisher deals to Chrisman. It's looked at all the way by Chrisman for ball 1. One-0 from Fisher is in the turf as Craig Kenny thought about throwing over to first as he saw Fernandez off the bag, but opted not to as Fernandez scampered over to first base. 2-0 from Fisher is just high for ball 3 and a hitter's count for Nate Chrisman. Chrisman tonight was walked in the second inning and has a base hit in the third. He's got Andrew Fernandez over at first base, 1 out for the HiToms. They trail the Mustangs 6-4. Fisher deals. It's on the inside of the plate for strike 1. It's a 3-1 count now for Chrisman. Fernandez at first base. This season has 8 stolen bags. He's got a light lead right now. Fisher deals to Chrisman. He fouls it back into the netting. Fisher takes a hop off the pitching mound, now walks back on. He prepares a payoff pitch to Nate Chrisman with 1 out. Andrew Fernandez at first. Payoff delivery from Fisher is in the zone, called strike 3. It was right on the corner of the zone. No swing from Nate Chrisman, and there's 2 outs in this top of the 5th. The top of the HiToms order now with Kane Kepley. Kepley tonight is 0 for 3. Flew out to second base back in the third. Andrew Fernandez still at first. Fisher deals to Kepley. It goes low for ball 1. 1-0. It was a near show bunt from Kepley. It went high. So it's a 2-0 count now on Kepley. Kepley's been walked 26 times this year. The stat that leads the team for the Tommies. The 2-0 is hit on by Kane Kepley. It's ripped out towards left field. Christian Easley's looking onto it, and he's able to glove it as he scampers over to the foul pole to make the grab for the third out. HiToms don't get any runs. They do get one hit. No. Welcome back to Hooker Field. Reese Robinette will get the bottom of the fifth going for the Mustangs. Will Sword, who checked in for Joe Areola back in the fourth inning, will go into his next inning of work. It was a very productive bottom of the fourth for the Mustangs. They got 2 home runs to put the lead at 6-4. Sword deals to Robinette. He swings and misses for strike one. Sword kicks, deals the 0-1. It's another swing and a miss by Robinette. Robinette struck out back in the third inning, and in the second he flew out to center field. 0-2 from Sword is chopped foul behind home plate by Robinette. Robinette against the HiToms on Tuesday went 3 for 3, had 2 RBIs. Out of Arkansas, just wrapped up his freshman year there. Sword sends in the 0-2. Swing and a miss by Reese Robinette, and he retires him on K's. It's the bottom man in the Mustangs batting order with Christian Easley. Easley flew out to center field in the fourth, but after that is when the Mustangs were able to do their damage. Sword's first one to Easley is at the chest for ball one. Next one from Sword. Again goes high, and it's a 2-0 count on Christian Easley. Easley got an RBI single back in the second inning. Sword's 0-2 is hit on by Christian Easley. It's out into shallow center field. Kane Kepley's running onto it. Jake Coonan takes a few hops back and is able to grab it. He had relief with Austin Deering and Kane Kepley running behind him, but Jake Coonan called for it, running backwards, and he gloves it for the second out. Now the top of the Mustangs order with Carter DeRiggi. DeRiggi making his 4th appearance to the plate tonight. No one on for Martinsville, 2 outs. Bottom of the 5th. Sword deals to DeRiggi. It's at the knees for strike 1. DeRiggi's been walked on 2 occasions tonight. Sword deals to him. It's at the knees for ball 1. One on DeRiggi. Sword's offering is hit on by Carter DeRiggi. Jack Spike is looking onto it. It's into foul territory, and Spike is able to make the grab, falling to his knees for the 3rd out. Great effort there by Jack Spike out in left field. And the Mustangs go 1-2-3 in the bottom of the 5th. No runs, no hits, no errors from the HiToms. It's 6-4. Mustangs have the lead. We go to the 6th inning. You're listening to HiToms Baseball on the HiToms Radio Network. The Mustangs are on to their 3rd pitcher of the night. It's number 18, Adam Bagozia, now in relief for Andrew Fisher, as they have a narrow 6-4 advantage over the HiToms in the 6th inning. Jake Coonan will make his first plate appearance of the night. He subbed in for Rowan Watt, as Bagozia's first one to Coonan is fouled back into the netting. Bagozia is making his 12th appearance of the year. None of those starts. His last one came July 22nd against the Chili Peppers. Pitched 2.5 innings there as he deals to Coonan low for ball 1. Gave up 2 earned runs, 2 hits, struck out 1 batter. ERA sitting around 4, so he can be a dangerous reliever for Martinsville. It is 1-1 to Coonan. It's hit on by Jake Coonan, but into foul territory towards the HiToms dugout. Bagozia's 1-2 to Coonan. Hits on the turf, bounces into the glove of Craig Kenny, and it's a 2-2 count on Jake Coonan. Coonan out of Princeton. Batted 180 there. The CPL this year is batting 244. Has 15 RBIs. But his last RBI came against the Mustangs on June 29th. And he had 4 RBIs against Martinsville on June 3rd. His 2-2 is hit on, but in foul territory, looping into the Mustangs bullpen. Count remains set at 2. Bagozia's 2-2 is chopped into fair territory by Coonan. Running over is Reese Robinette. He lightly throws over to first, Not the best throw from Robinette to Drew Needham, and it's a base hit for Jake Coonan. We'll bring Austin Deering to the plate. Bogosian looks at Coonan at first. Now deals to Deering. Deering lines one past the shortstop into left field. Coonan is held up at second, and it's a base hit for Austin Deering, and the HiToms have 2 aboard to start the 6th inning. Base hit from Jake Coonan, and then Austin Deering does the same. Brings up the DH, Josh Karen. Karen tonight was walked back in the 4th and the 3rd inning, and he struck out in the 1st. Bogosian looks over at Coonan, now deals to Karen. He swings and misses for strike 1. Jake Coonan's at second. Austin Deering over at first. 0-1 count on Josh Karen. Reliever Adam Bogosian dealing for the Mustangs now as one sinks towards the feet of Karen for ball 1. Bogosian gives his catcher Craig Kenny a nod. Looks at second. Deals the 1-1. It hits the turf and gets away from Craig Kenny as Jake Coonan scampers over to third. Austin Deering remained at first, and there's men on the corners for the HiToms. Jake Coonan gets over to third base. Austin Deering remains at first. Josh Karen sitting in a 2-1 count. Bogosian deals to Karen. Hit on by Josh Karen out towards left field. It bounces just in foul territory as third base coach and HiToms head coach Sean Stevens claps his hands in frustration as that one was just foul down the left field line. Puts Josh Karen in a 2-2 count. A righty-on-righty matchup between Bogosian and Karen. Bogosian is 2-2. Is fouled back by Karen. Count remains at 2-all. Adam Bogosian out of Lafayette College. He's in a bit of a jam with men on the corners, no outs. Josh Karen up to bat. Is 2-2. Is low. Craig Kenny throws over to second. Deering slides in, and the throw is in time. Great execution by the Mustangs. Craig Kenny dealed to Doc Daniels at second base. Deering came sliding in, and he now runs back to the HiToms dugout, shaking his head. So now 1 out in this top of the 6th, as Austin Deering was caught stealing. Jake Coonan, however, remains at third. Josh Karen still in a 2-2 count. Bogosian deals to Karen. It's hit up in the air. Bogosian is pointing onto it. Drew Needham's running onto it. He is on the first base line, and he's able to grab it for the second out. And just like that, there's 2 quick outs for the catcher, Josh Davis. It's an inning that began with the Jake Coonan base hit. Austin Deering followed up with a base hit of his own. He was then caught stealing, and Josh Karen just flew out to first base. Brings up Josh Davis, who was walked back in the 4th. Bogosian now has 2 outs with Davis up to bat. He deals to Davis. It hits him in the elbow as Davis grimaces. It's the elbow that he has the black arm sleeve on. Davis in considerable discomfort as Sean Stevens walks over to condole his catcher, as Davis is in a lot of pain. And, of course, just recovering from a long outage with Tommy John. He now walks back over to where he chucked his helmet down as the Mustangs trainer walks over to him, asking if he's all right. He's now in a conversation with Martinsville's trainer. So it will bring men on the corners again for the HiToms, with Jack Spike up to bat. Davis now walking over to first base with the Martinsville trainer right beside him. As Davis still in conversation with Martinsville's trainer, who had, unfortunately, a busy night. Ian Francis had to go out with an injury. That's why Craig Kenny, Martinsville. And Davis, this is actually his second conversation he's had with the trainer tonight. The first one was just to get a Band-Aid for his finger. This one much more serious. But Davis will remain in the game. He's at first base after getting hit by the pitch off of Adam Bagozia. So Josh Davis is at first base. Jake Coonan's over at third. He's having a conversation with third base coach Sean Stevens. Jack Spike has now just entered the batter's box. He's ready to go. With 2 outs, top of the 6th, HiToms trail 6-4 against the Mustangs. A game they need to win. Bagozia deals to Spike. It's at the knees for ball 1. Spike struck out back in the 4th. Bagozia deals to him. This one is near the waist for ball 2. Bagozia tosses in the 2-2. Swing and a miss by Jack Spike. He's still ahead in the count, 2-1. With 2 outs, Jake Coonan's at third base. Josh Davis is over at first. Carter DeRiggi and Doc Daniels, the shortstop and second baseman for the Mustangs, are pinched way out in the infield near the grass. Bagozia deals. Spike fouls it back. HiToms trail by 2 runs. They have 2 on base in the top of the 6th. Spike's ready to go for the 2-2. Bagozia deals. Hit on by Jack Spike. Out towards Doc Daniels. He can't control it. He loses it as it will be a RBI single for Jack Spike. What will definitely be an error by Doc Daniels, who had it in his glove and then lost it. It is now a 6-5 ball game. Josh Davis gets over to second, and it puts Jack Spike at first. As Doc Daniels at second base couldn't hold on to it. It wasn't a ball hit very hard, as Bagozia is now working on Juan Correa, who swings and misses on his first look. As I was alluding to, it wasn't a ball hit awfully hard by Spike. Daniels just took his eye off of it. Bagozia deals to Correa. He chops one foul into the HiToms dugout. Correa goes behind, 0-2 on the count. He struck out in the 5th, but he does have 2 RBIs tonight. Jack Spike is at first base. Josh Davis is over at second. Jake Coonan was able to score. Bagozia deals to Juan Correa. It's another one foul. This one right down the third base line, and it trickles towards Sean Stevens, third base coach for the HiToms. He tosses the ball back into the Tommy's dugout. And the Mustangs ball boy runs out of the dugout to give our home plate umpire a few extra baseballs. Juan Correa sits in an 0-2 count with 2 outs, 2 on for the HiToms. Bagozia nods to Greg Kenny. He looks at second, now deals to Correa. Correa swings and misses. The throw over to first doesn't matter, as that was the 3rd out regardless. So the HiToms do get a run back. And we will go into the bottom of the 6th. You're listening to HiToms Baseball on the HiToms Radio Network. Bottom of the 6th inning here at Hooker Field in Martinsville, Virginia. There is a substitution for the HiToms at catcher after Josh Davis was hit in the elbow. It's a HiToms debut for Garrett Fisher. Now catching, Will Sword still dealing. He deals the first one to Adam Fallon, and it goes in for strike one. Sword deals the next one to Fallon. It's chopped foul as Fisher is just making sure it wasn't in fair territory. Garrett Fisher out of Northern Colorado. Stands at 5'11", 185. Sword's next one to Fallon is at the chest for ball one, and it's a 1-2 count on Adam Fallon. Fallon tonight got a big home run back in the 4th inning. Next one goes low into the turf. The count sits at 2-all for number 2. HiToms able to bring one run back in the top of the 6th. It's a 6-5 ball game here at Hooker Field. Sword kicks, deals the pitch. It's hit on by Adam Fallon out towards center field. Kane Kepley's running onto it. Austin Deering runs onto it as well. He collects it, but it's a base hit for Adam Fallon.
Now batting for the Mustangs, first baseman for Western Carolina, number 23, Drew Needham.
Brings up Drew Needham. Man on first for the Mustangs. Sword deals to Needham and hits him right on the ankle. And there will now be 2 aboard for Martinsville. Adam Fallon's able to walk over to second, and Drew Needham is at first base after getting hit by the pitch. The DH, John Boy Rittenhouse, now up to bat. Rittenhouse got a base hit in the 3rd inning and was walked back in the 4th. 2 on for Martinsville. Adam Fallon at second, Drew Needham at first. Sword deals to Rittenhouse. It nearly clips him as it's in for ball 1. Sword's 1-0. Is at the knees for ball 2. It's an inning that started with an Adam Fallon base hit and then a Drew Needham hit by pitch. No outs. Will Sword dealing for the Tommies. He looks at Fallon at second. Now goes to Rittenhouse. A big swing and a miss. Fisher throws over to second. Coonan tags. It's a tag that comes in time for the first out. Great work from Garrett Fisher, who line one over to Jake Coonan at second, and it gets Drew Needham out. Adam Fallon is able to get 90 feet away from scoring. However, there is now 1 out with John Boy Rittenhouse in a 2-1 count. Sword's delivery is a swing and a miss by Rittenhouse, and the count's at 2-2. Drew Needham did have 7 stolen bases on the year, but he was caught stealing there. Sword fires in the 2-2. It goes at the knees for ball 3, and it's a full count for John Boy Rittenhouse. Adam Fallon at third base. HiToms trails 6-5 against the Mustangs. Sword's delivery is fouled off by Rittenhouse right into the netting behind home plate. Lucas Carmichael awaits on deck. Rittenhouse this year has 32 RBIs. That leads the team. He has 3 extra base hits. Payoff pitch from Sword. Goes low. Check swing. And it's enough for ball 4. And there's men on the corners for Martinsville with 1 out. Second time tonight that Rittenhouse has been walked. It puts him at first base. Adam Fallon remains over at third with number 32, Lucas Carmichael, coming up to bat. And HiToms pitching coach Eric Owens will walk over to the pitching mound to have a chat with his pitcher Will Sword as the entire Tommy's infield converges on Sword to talk things over in a big spot. The game kind of hanging in the balance. It's a game that the HiToms need to win. Looking around the CPL scoreboard, the Zookeepers, a team the HiToms need to lose, are losing to the Bigfoots 9-4 in the bottom of the 6th. Other pivotal West Division matchup, the Blowfish are beating up on the Owls 8-0. Meanwhile, the Macon are trailing 9-8 in the 7th to the Flamingos. So 2 results going in favor of the HiToms. However, though, the HiToms not taking care of their own business against the Mustangs. They trail 6-5. Umpire has told Eric Owens that meeting time is over. And everyone goes back to their respected positions. The Sword will get ready to face Lucas Carmichael, who was hit by a pitch in the 3rd inning and was walked back in the 4th. Carmichael this season batting .282. He leads the team in walks with 30. Men on the corners for Martinsville. 1 out. Sword's first one to Carmichael is at the ankle for ball 1. Mustangs have Adam Fallon at third, John Boy Rittenhouse over at first. Sword deals to Carmichael. It's in the turf. It gets away from Fisher as Rittenhouse is able to run over to second base, and there's now 2 in scoring position with 1 out in the bottom of the 6th. Delivery got away from Fisher, and it means there's 2 in scoring position for Martinsville. Towards 1-1 is hit on by Lucas Carmichael. It's a blooper out towards center field. Adam Fallon is comfortably going to score as Rittenhouse also rounds third, and he scores to make it a 8-5 ball game here at Hooker Field. An RBI single from Lucas Carmichael. Adam Fallon scores from third, and John Boy Rittenhouse scores from second. It's now 8-5 in the bottom of the 6th, with Doc Daniels coming up to bat. Daniels tonight is 1 for 3. Carmichael stands at first base. Sword deals to Daniels. It's at the knees for ball 1. Daniels out of Wilson College. Sword deals the 0-1. It goes low for ball 2. Sword's next one to Daniels is hit down the third base line. Crispin can't get to it. It's all the way out to Spike in left field. It's a base hit for Doc Daniels. And there's once again 2 on base for Martinsville with just 1 out in the bottom of the 6th. At the bottom of the Mustangs order now with Craig Kenny. Following him will be Reese Robinette and Christian Easley. Lucas Carmichael able to get over to second. Doc Daniels at first. Carmichael's got the RBI in this inning and made it an 8-5 game. Sword deals to Kenny. It's just high for ball one. Sword's next one is on the outside. It's a 2-0 count on Craig Kenny. Craig Kenny out of Northern Colorado. Batted .291 in the spring. Sword looks at Carmichael at second, now deals to Kenny. Hit on by Craig Kenny. It's going to be in foul territory. It's a moonshot in foul territory that gets way out of play. Kenny this year does not have any home runs, does have 11 RBIs. Sword will toss it over to Jake Coonan as Lucas Carmichael stands right on second base. Carmichael this year has 5 stolen bases. Where Sword looks now. Now he deals to Kenny, and this one is a high fly ball up in the air, and it's right into the concessions area, and it bounces over. The ball hit right near the in left field, near the HiToms dugout. It's right where I am, right above the Tommy's dugout. Greg Kenny now sits in a 2-2 count with 1 out, 2 on for Martinsville. Jake Coonan thinks about checking in. Sword deals to Kenny. It goes low. Fisher's going to throw over to third to Crispin. The throw is not in time. It was good execution. Jared Fisher, there's no denying, he's got a cannon of an arm as Sean Stevens comes walking out, arguing the call. Great execution by Fisher to toss it all the way over to Crispin at third base, and Sean Stevens is not happy with the call. You don't often see this from Sean Stevens, to come out of the dugout and disagree with the call, but he probably had the best view of it in the HiToms dugout. As Stevens is pointing both of his arms, one at third, one at first, or rather one at home plate. His back is facing me, so I can't read any lips. But he is not happy with our umpire, as our umpire now points to him, and I don't think he dealt out a warning or anything, as now he's giving a piece of his mind to the home plate umpire. Now our other umpire, who is manning the position right behind the pitcher's mound, just yelled at Sean Stevens to quit it. But he's not happy. Craig Kenny is happy, though. He's in a full count with men on the corners. Sword's payoff pitch is hit on by Craig Kenny. It's out towards left field. Jack Spike's running onto it. He has called for it, and he collects it for the second out. It's going to be a throw that goes towards home. Nate Crispin cuts it off as no runner scores. Good work by the HiToms to prevent any run from scoring, as the ball was flown out towards left, collected by Spike. He drilled it in towards home plate. It was cut off by Crispin, as Lucas Carmichael made no attempt to run home. Brings up Reese Robinette. With 2 outs in this bottom of the 6th, as Will Sword and Jake Coonan, the 2 Princeton products, are having a quick conversation. And Garrett Fisher will also join in that conversation. Lucas Carmichael stands at third base, and Doc Daniels still over at first. Reese Robinette up to bat. He struck out in the 5th. Sword deals to Robinette. It goes just high. Runners stay at their bases. Sword's 1 out is just on the outside of the zone. It's a 2-0 count for Reese Robinette. Sword delivers the 2-2. Swing and a miss by Reese Robinette. And it's a 2-1 count with 2 outs. Doc Daniels stands at first base while Lucas Carmichael's over at third. Mustangs have an 8-5 advantage over the Tommies. They've tacked 2 more runs on in this 6th inning. Next one from Sword is just high for ball 3. Three-one from Sword. Swing and a miss by Reese Robinette. It's a full count on him. Robinette this season out of Arkansas has 8 RBIs. Playing his 22nd game for the Mustangs this season. Men on the corners for Martinsville. Payoff pitch from Sword. Goes high. And means the bases are loaded for Martinsville with 2 outs in this bottom of the 6th. Brings up the 9-hole hitter, Christian Easley, who flew out to second base in the 5th. Bases are loaded for Martinsville. Christian Easley up to bat. Sword deals to Easley. It's at the chest for strike 1. Reese Robinette is at first base. Doc Daniels has moved over to second. And Lucas Carmichael still occupies third. Sword's 0-1. Sinks in for ball 1 as there was no swing from Easley. Sword nods to his catcher, Garrett Fisher. Now fires in the 1-1. It's hit on by Christian Easley. Andrew Fernandez collects it. He steps on the bag for the 3rd out. And the HiToms escape the bottom of the 6th with only giving up 2 runs. Martinsville leaves the bases loaded. HiToms trail 8-5 over the Mustangs. We go to the 7th inning. You're listening to HiToms Baseball on the HiToms Radio Network. Andrew Fernandez will start off the the top of the 7th for the HiToms. And his first one is a swing and a miss. Adam Bargozia still dealing for the Tommies. He's got Fernandez in an 0-1 count. As Fernandez chops one foul. Bogosia's 0-2 to Fernandez. It's hit on by Andrew Fernandez, but it's way foul out in left field. Bogosia will do the 0-2 again. This one by Fernandez is looped up into right field. Lucas Carmichael says he has it, and he does for the first out. Brings up the 9-hole hitter, Nate Chrisman, for the HiToms. They trail 8-5 against the Mustangs. What is now a fully night sky here at Hooker Field. As the first one to Chrisman, it's a check swing for strike one. Temperature still sitting at 82 degrees. It's a rather hot and sticky night. Bogosia's 0-1. Another check swing. This one is in for ball one. One's across the scoreboard for Nate Chrisman, who struck out looking in the fifth. Does have a base hit. One from Bogosia is at the knees for ball two. It even got away from the glove of Craig Kenny. 2-1 for Bogosia is again near the knees. This one in the zone. It's a 2-2 count on Nate Chrisman. Two-two's fired in. It sinks low, and it's a full count on Nate Chrisman. Payoff pitch from Bogosia. Goes low, and Nate Chrisman's aboard at first base with one out. No one else on for the Tommies. Brings up the leadoff man, Kane Kepley, for the HiToms. Kepley tonight is 0 for 4. He's got 3 flyouts and a ground out. You feel he's due here for a hit. Bogosia's first one to Kepley is in the dirt for ball one. Next one from Bogosia is hit on by Kane Kepley, but it's going to sink into foul territory down the first base line. Bogosia in his junior year at Lafayette. He throws over to first. Chrisman slides in. In his junior year, Bogosia had an ERA of 11.45. That was in 21 appearances. He's got Kane Kepley in a 1-1 count. He will send in the 1-1. Nate Chrisman's on the roof. Craig Crenny throws over to second. Chrisman's slide is not in time. 2 outs now in the top of the 7th, as Nate Chrisman just couldn't get a big enough jump or run from first base, and he is caught stealing. Kepley's in a hitter's count at 2-1. There are 2 outs now, though. Bogosia deals to Kepley. Kepley hits one out towards right center field. Adam Fowles looking at it. He gloves it for the third out. And the HiToms go 1-2-3. Kane Kepley pounds his hands into the turf in frustration as his tough night continues. As it's a quick top of the 7th for the HiToms. Mustangs will go back to work in the bottom half of the inning. They still lead the Tommies 8-5. You're listening on the HiToms Radio Network. Will Sword going into his third inning of work in the bottom of the seventh. Thus far, he's given up 2 earned runs off of 3 hits. And he's walked 2 batters. He's got leadoff man Carter DeRiggi to go up against in this bottom of the seventh. Mustangs lead 8-5 over the HiToms. AJ Myers taking you through this one as Sword's first one to DeRiggi is lined right out to Coonan at second. He tosses over to Correa for the first out. It's a quick first out for the HiToms.
Now batting for the Mustangs, center fielder from Lipscomb, number 2, Adam Allen.
Goes 4-3 on the putout. Brings up Adam Fallon, who had a big home run back in the 4th, and he got a base hit in the 6th inning. Sword deals to Fallon. It's hit on by Adam Fallon out towards center field. Kane Kepley puts his glove down. He's unable to haul it in. Looked as though Kane Kepley was in between 2 minds of whether to dive in and slide on the ground to get that ball or just reach out. He opted for reaching out, and I don't know if they're going to give that as he dropped the ball because I don't know if he ever had it in his glove. Tough to tell from my vantage point, but either way, Adam Fallon has a base hit. And it brings up Drew Needham, who was hit in the ankle his last time up. Sword deals to Needham. It's at the lettering for ball 1. Sword's got Adam Fallon to work at it first. He deals to Needham at the knees for strike 1. HiToms have 1 extra hit, and the Mustangs, it's 11-10 in the hits category, but Mustangs leading the all-important runs category, 8-5. Next one from Sword is low on the corner for ball 2. Two-0 from Sword. It goes high above the zone, and it's a hitter's count for Drew Needham. Adam Fallon's over at first base. Mustangs lead 8-5 over the HiToms. 1 out. Bottom of the 7th. Sword delivers. And Needham looked at it all the way for ball 4, and there's 2 on for Martinsville. Adam Fallon scampers over to second, and Drew Needham walks to first. John Boy Rittenhouse, a designated hitter for the Mustangs, up to bat. Rittenhouse was walked in the 6th. Sword deals to Rittenhouse. He swings and misses on his first offering in the bottom of the 7th. Adam Fallon's at second base. Drew Needham's got a lead at first. All the infielders for the HiToms are pinched back. Sword deals to Rittenhouse. It's at the knees for strike 1. Next one's on from Sword. It's hit on by John Boy Rittenhouse. It's out towards center field. It takes a hop. Kane Kepley's able to collect it. He's going to make a long throw over to second. Adam Fallon's around third. He's going to comfortably score, and it is an RBI double for John Boy Rittenhouse to make it a 9-5 ball game in the bottom of the 7th. Gets Rittenhouse over to second base. Drew Needham gets to third, and Adam Fallon is able to score for the 3rd time tonight.
Now batting for the Mustangs, right fielder from William Mary, number 32, Lucas.
Brings up Lucas Carmichael for the RBI double by John Boy Rittenhouse. And really, look at the box score. Nearly every hitter has been a problem for the HiToms tonight. 2 on now. Sword deals to Carmichael. It's at the chest for ball 1. Swords 1-0. Sinks in for ball 2. No swing from Carmichael. Drew Needham's at third base. Lucas Carmichael at bat with John Boy Rittenhouse over at second. Sword kick, steals the 2-0. Swing and a miss by Carmichael. It's a 2-1 count. There is one out in the bottom of the 7th. Mustangs have tacked on yet another run. Last HiToms run was scored in the 6th. It's a 9-5 ball game. Sword kicks, deals the next pitch. Hit on by Lucas Carmichael towards Jack Spike in left field. He's able to glove it for the second out. He's not going to throw over to third, but Drew Needham will comfortably tag third base and run home to make it a 10-5 ball game in the bottom of the 7th. So it's a sacrifice from Lucas Carmichael. Brings up Doc Daniels with now 2 outs in this bottom of the 7th. John Boy Rittenhouse still at second base. Mustangs have a 5-run lead on the Tommies. Sword deals to Daniels. It goes high for ball 1. Daniels got a base hit in the 6th. Next one from Sword goes low. So first one to Daniels went high. Next one goes low. No swings on both times from Daniels. Puts him in a 2-0 count with 2 outs. John Boy Rittenhouse at second. Mustangs lead 10-5. Sword will deliver from the belt. It's at the knees for ball 3. Hitters count now for Doc Daniels, with Craig Kenny waiting in the on-deck circle. Two-out delivery from Sword is at the waist, in for a strike. Doc Daniels thought he'd be walking to first as he hopped out of the batter's box, took a few steps past home plate, but then our home plate umpire said, "You got to come back." Sword tosses in the 3-1. And it gets away from Fisher. But either way, though, Daniels swung and missed on what was a wild pitch. Full count delivery from Sword is just looped right in front of home plate. It takes a hop on the third base line, and it will trickle out of play. So Will Sword will have to prepare yet another full count pitch. John Boy Rittenhouse stands at second. Infield's all pinched back. Sword looks at Rittenhouse. Now fires in the 3-2. It is at the waist, and this time Doc Daniels can walk over to first base. The walk puts Daniels at first, and Rittenhouse remains over at second. Craig Kenny now up to bat. Kenny going up against his teammate in Garrett Fisher, who's coming in relief for Davis at catcher. First one to Kenny is hit up high over the HiToms dugout, and it will bounce out of play. Garrett Fisher finished his junior year at North Carolina, while Craig Kenny finished a redshirt sophomore year at Northern Colorado. Both dueling it out in the CPL now. 0-1 from Sword is in the zone down the middle, and it puts Kenny behind 0-2 in the count. John Boy Rittenhouse at second base. Doc Daniels has a lead over at first. Juan Correa is directly behind him. The delivery from Sword sinks low for ball one. Two outs. Bottom of the seventh, Mustangs lead 10-5 over the HiToms. Next one to Craig Kenny is hit on down the third base line, collected by Crispin. He's going to line it over to first. Correa is tagging a sliding Kenny for the third out. Well, it's a third out that doesn't come without two more Mustangs runs. They make it a 10-5 ball game. It will be Rowan Watt to start off, rather Jake Coonan to start off the eighth inning. You're listening to HiToms Baseball on the HiToms Radio Network. Eighth inning here at Hooker Field, and it's Timothy Cunningham out of St. John's who come in relief for Adam Bagozia. He'll go up against Jake Coonan, with the Mustangs having a 10-5 advantage over the HiToms. Cunningham's first one to Coonan is at the waist for strike one. Cunningham this year making his 17th appearance. None of those starts. ERA at 2.54. He's been a great reliever for the HiToms as he puts another strike looking for Coonan, and he's behind 0-2 in the count. Cunningham's 0-2 is chopped foul right behind home plate by Jake Coonan. Cunningham stands at 6'6", redshirt junior out of St. John's, as another one is placed on the lower part of the zone. It's a 2-1 count for Jake Coonan. Cunningham's ERA at St. John's was 4.94, so he's replicated that in the CPL as he gets Coonan to retire on strikes. First two we're looking, next one is swinging, and there's one quick out for the HiToms in a must-have top of the eighth. Brings up Austin Deering. Deering tonight got a base hit in the 6th, but then was caught stealing. Cunningham's first one to Deering is low on the corner for ball 1. Deering's next one is lined out towards left field. That ball is crushed. It is going. It is gone into the trees here at Hooker Field. And the HiToms cut into that Mustangs lead. It's a 10-6 game. It's Austin Deering's 5th home run of the year. That's a team-leading 5 home runs. A solo shot out into center field makes it a 10-6 game. After the home run, it brings up Josh Karen. His first one is low for ball 1. Cunningham's next one is hit on by Josh Karen right to third base. Is then lined to first. Throw is in time for the second out. Goes from Robinette to Needham to retire Josh Karen. And that means now it will be a debut appearance for Garrett Fisher. Fisher, as I alluded to, out of northern Colorado. His first look at a pitch is not swinging from him. It's strike 1. At Colorado, in his junior year, batted .331 in 40 appearances. Next one is just on the outside. It's a 1-1 count on Fisher. Fisher also had 16 RBIs. Cunningham fires in the 1-1. It's fouled straight back into the netting. Cunningham nods at his catcher, Craig Kenny. Now prepares the 1-2. Check swing from Fisher is over to our first base umpire, who says Fisher didn't go around, and it's a 2-2 count. We have 2 outs, no one on for the HiToms. Austin Deering's solo shot made it a 10-6 game. 2-2, swing and a miss by Fisher, and that will end this top of the 8th. It's the top of the 8th that doesn't come to an end without an Austin Deering home run out towards center field. That made it a 10-6 game. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th. You're listening to HiToms Baseball on the HiToms Radio Network. Brady Garcia checks in on the mound for the HiToms in the bottom of the 8th. He'll start off against Reese Robinette. Garcia is making his 7th appearance this year. He does have 4 starts. His last outing was Wednesday against the Zookeepers, where he only got 1 out in the top of the 1st. He gave up 8 earned runs, so a tough outing there. And Garcia will look to rebound in a critical spot. His first one to Robinette is lined out towards Andrew Fernandez at shortstop. Fernandez can't hang on to the ball. That'll be an error on Andrew Fernandez, as Reese Robinette's able to get over to first. So it should have been an easy first out for the HiToms. Isn't, as Fernandez took his eye off the ball there for a moment as he was collecting it to his glove, and it puts Reese Robinette at first base. Just starting the bottom of the 8th, Mustangs have a 10-6 advantage over the HiToms. It's the 9-hole hitter Christian Easley up to bat. He has flyouts, 2 flyouts his last 2 plate appearances. Brady Garcia deals to him as he puts one out of play down the left field line. Reese Robinette over at first for Martinsville. That's where Brady Garcia looks now. Now looks back at home plate and deals to Easily. It's at the chest for ball 1. One count, no out. Here's the pitch from Garcia. It's in for strike 1. Rather, that would be strike 2, so it's a 1-2 count on Christian Easley. Easley out of the University of Maryland as that one hits in the turf. Reese Robinette is running over to second. He slides in. There's no throw from Garrett Fisher, as Fisher lost control of the ball that slapped into the turf. So it puts Reese Robinette in scoring position at second base, with the Mustangs having a 10-6 lead over the HiToms. As I was alluding to before that, Reese Robinette from University of Maryland, Baltimore County, just finished up his junior year there. As Garcia delivers a 2-2 to him. He fouls this one again towards left field over that cage grandstand area. As Brady Garcia was not happy with the ball, and he was not happy with quite a few balls he got in the warm-up pitches he had prior to the start of the bottom of the 8th. Gets a new ball from our home plate umpire. Looks to be satisfied with it. He's got Christian Easley in a 2-2 count. No outs. Reese Robinette's over at second. Jay Coonan keeping an eye on him. Garcia goes to Easley. This one is chopped into the turf. Nate Kristen's going to throw over to first. That's the smart move for the first out. Robinette thought about throwing over to second, but had a clear path to Juan Correa at first, and he gets the first out. Leadoff man Carter DeRiggi up to bat now. Reese Robinette still in scoring position at second base. Brady Garcia's got 1 out in the bottom of the 8th. Minimal damage is needed here for the HiToms. Garcia kicks, and before he delivers, just hops off the pitching mound to check on Reese Robinette, who isn't going anywhere. On the year, Robinette doesn't have any stolen bases. Garcia now deals one into the turf as DeRiggi looked at it all the way. Fisher does a good job of pouncing on that one. It's a 1-0 count on Carter DeRiggi. Garcia fires in the next one down the middle for strike 1 on DeRiggi. He looked at it all the way. That's the kind of pitches Brady Garcia likes to throw, fastballs. One's across the scoreboard for DeRiggi. Reese Robinette at second. Brady Garcia takes a quick look at second, now kicks, deals. Another one that this time sinks low. It looked as though it would be similar to the last pitch in the middle for a strike. So 2-1 on to Riggy. Brady nods to Garrett Fisher. Now places the next pitch just in the zone for strike 2. Garcia's 2-2 is sinking low at the feet of DeRiggi. It's a full count on the leadoff man. DeRiggi playing his 32nd game for the Mustangs tonight. He started all 55 games his sophomore year at Butler. He deals now, and this one is placed out into center field. It takes a hop in front of Kane Kepley. Reese Robinette's going to be held up at third, and it's a base hit for Carter DeRiggi.
Now batting for the Mustangs, center fielder from left field, number 2, Adam Fallon.
Adam Fallon now up to bat for Martinsville. Reese Robinette's over at third base with Carter DeRiggi at first after that base hit. Fallon got a base hit his last 2 plate appearances. Garcia's first one to Fallon is low for ball 1. Adam Fallon rocking the orange arm sleeve on his left arm. Represents Bowling Green. That's where he goes to school. Finished his senior year there, batted .250. Next one is just high out of the zone. It's a 2-0 count on Adam Fallon. Reese Robinette is at third. Carter DeRiggi has his hands on his knees near first. 2-0 from Garcia. Sinks out of the zone, rather in the zone for our home plate umpire. It's a 2-1 count. Where previous strikes have gone, but that one not quite for our umpire. And it's a 3-1 count on the dangerous Adam Fallon. He taps the base with his bat. A nod from Garcia. And a 3-1 delivery. Is chopped into the turf. It gets past Jake Coonan and Juan Correa between second and first, and it's an RBI single for Adam Fallon. It makes it 11-6 ball game in the bottom of the 8th. Now, 3 RBIs for Fallon. He got a 2-run home run, and then that RBI single brings up Drew Needham. With Carter DeRiggi at second now, and Adam Fallon over at first. In an 11-6 ball game at Hooker Field. Bottom of the 8th, Brady Garcia dealing for the Tommies. He looks at second. Now places a pitch in for Needham. It's at the knees for ball 1. Garcia's 1-0 is high for ball 2. The 2-0 is looked at all the way by Drew Needham for strike 1. Carter DeRiggi at second base. Adam Fallon stands at first. 1 out, bottom of the 8th. Next one for Needham is again looked at by him for ball 3. 3-1 count on Drew Needham, who Got a base hit back in the 7th and was hit by a pitch in the 6th. Here comes the 3-1 from Garcia. It's at the knees for strike 2. And it's a full count now on Drew Needham. Needham, I believe, was a little frustrated with that call from our umpire. Payoff pitch from Garcia. A swing and a miss by Drew Needham, and there's 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th. Brings up the cleanup man, John Boy Rittenhouse, who's been a problem all night for the HiToms. Rittenhouse has been walked 3 times tonight. He also has an RBI. He's got 2 on base with 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th. Mustangs lead 11-6 over the HiToms. Garcia deals to Rittenhouse. It's at the feet for ball 1. Carter DeRiggi's at second base. Adam Founds over at first. A game that started with a helicopter landing for the ceremonial first pitch has gone the Mustangs' way. HiToms have led twice, but they haven't led since the 4th inning. Next one from Garcia is in for strike 1. Check swing from Rittenhouse is called a strike. Garcia's 1-1 is in again for a strike, and it's a 1-2 count. Garcia's fastball is working really well against these Mustangs batters. They're not swinging at it too much. 2 on for Martinsville. DeRiggi at second, Fallon at first. 2 outs. Garcia needs 1 more. Here's the delivery. It's fouled back by Rittenhouse. An inning that started with a Reese Robinette base hit. Christian easily grounded out. DeRiggi got a base hit. Fallon then got an RBI. And Drew Needham just struck out. Garcia now has John Boy Rittenhouse tied up in a 1-2 count with 2 outs. As our home plate umpire needed some new baseballs, and he gets some and tosses one to Garrett Fisher, who places a ball into the glove of Brady Garcia, who's been quite picky with what baseballs he wants. Has the glove right at his chest. Ready for a 1-2 offering to John Boy Rittenhouse. Garcia nods to Fisher. Kicks and deals. Swing and a miss by Rittenhouse. That is a huge 3rd out as the HiToms are down to their final 3 outs in the top of the 9th. They trail 11-6 against the Mustangs. It's do or die for the Tommies. You're listening to HiToms Baseball on the HiToms Radio Network. Landon Abrahamson is charged with the responsibility of getting the final 3 outs for the Mustangs in an 11-6 game. A.J. Myers here at Hooker Field between the HiToms and Mustangs. Jack Spike will be the first one up in the top of the 9th. Tommy's trailing by 5 runs, 11-6. First one for Spike is in for ball 1. Abrahamson has an ERA at 14.14. He's making his 9th appearance. None of those starts. Does have 13 strikeouts. Next one to Spike is high for ball 2. Abrahamson's last appearance came against the HiToms. He got 2 strikeouts, no earned runs in a third of an inning. His next one to Spike is at the waist for strike 1. Jack Spike tonight playing left field. Got an RBI in the 6th inning and an RBI in the 3rd. He's got 3 in total. 2-1 is lined past third base, and this will be a base hit for Jack Spike. Spike needled it right near the third base line, and it got past Reese Robinette out to Christian Easley in left field. And in the top of the 9th, HiToms trailing 11-6. They have a man aboard at first base in Jack Spike. Brings up Juan Correa. Correa's last 2 appearances at the plate, strikeouts. First one is in for a ball. He's got Jack Spike over at first base. Abrahamson kicks, steals to Correa. He swings and misses. It's a 1-1 count on Juan Correa. Correa this year has 16 RBIs. He looks at a next pitch all the way for a strike, and he's behind in the count 1-2. He's got 16 RBIs, does lead the team in strikeouts with 26. He's currently batting .244. Abrahamson's 1-2 goes high for ball 2. The 2-2 is in the turf for ball 3, and it puts Juan Correa in a full count with no outs and Jack Spike over at first base. Crowd is mostly cleared out here at Hooker Field. Only a few fans sticking around to the end. We're about to witness a payoff pitch from Abrahamson. It goes at the chest level for ball 4, and there's 2 aboard for the HiToms with Andrew Fernandez stepping up to the plate. HiToms have a lot of work to do in this top of the 9th. They've got their first 2 runners aboard. Jack Spike got a single, and Juan Correa was just walked. Brings up Andrew Fernandez, who has a base hit back in the 5th. Abrahamson deals to Fernandez. He shows bunt. It is bunted in foul territory. Puts Fernandez behind 0-1 against the right-hander, Landon Abrahamson. Abrahamson's 0-1. Another bunt, showed bunt from Fernandez. Gets past him for ball 1, and 1s are across the board. Abrahamson kicks, deals to Fernandez. Check swing from him is in for strike. And it's a 1-2 count on Andrew Fernandez. Abrahamson looks at second, now deals to Fernandez. He gets contact on it. It's out towards the second baseman. He tosses to first for the out, but 2 runners are now in scoring position for the HiToms. Jack Spike gets all the way over to third with Juan Correa at first base. And Nate Crispin up to bat with one out here in the top of the ninth. Abrahamson briefly took off his glove, now puts it back on, and he's ready to go to face Nate Crispin, who got a base hit in the seventh. Crispin deals to, Abrahamson deals to Crispin. It's on the outside of the zone for ball one. Jack Spike's at third. Juan Correa's got over to second. Comes the pitch from Abrahamson. It sinks at the knees for ball one. Mustangs lead 11-6. Abrahamson's next offering is high. And Nate Crispin's in a hitter's count with one out and two in scoring position. Abrahamson's next delivery is at the waist, and the bases are loaded for the HiToms in the top of the ninth. With the top of the order coming up, starting with Kane Kepley. Jack Spikes at third, Juan Correa second, and Nate Crispin just arrived at first base. Kane Kepley is 0 for 5 today. For the HiToms, to be a perfect spot to get your first hit of the night. Abrahamson deals to Kepley. He looks at it all the way for a strike. HiToms come into this game 5th place in the West at 6-10. A game better than the Mustangs. 0-1 on Kepley. Another one that is looked at for a ball this time. As a throw over to third was in time. Jack Spike was caught at third base with too heavy of a lead. Great awareness by Craig Kenny, and Jack Spike makes the slow walk to the dugout as there are now 2 outs in the top of the ninth. Kepley's in a 1-1 count. There's 2 outs. Now just 2 on for the HiToms. Juan Correa is at second. Nate Crispin's at first. Abrahamson's 1-1. It's a swing and a miss by Kepley. It's now a 1-2 count, and the HiToms are down to their final strike. They trail 11-6. Correa's at second. Crispin's at first. Fans left here at Hooker Field are clapping along. Abrahamson deals to Kepley. He swings and misses, and that'll do it here at Hooker Field. And that'll also do it for the season series between the HiToms and Mustangs. It's a season series that is split. HiToms won 5 games, but they also lost 5, and this one is a tough pill to swallow as it's now putting their record at 5-11, and a playoff push is now sinking away. They have to rebound quickly tomorrow. Another pivotal West Division matchup against the Ashboro Zookeepers back at historic Finch Field. The 3-game road stand wraps up